Hey Glenn, how's it going? This is Kai Goddard here with Track Record, and we wanted to thank you for sending us your video of your lap here in your F-Type around Laguna Seca, which is one of our favorite tracks. Love going here. So the way we do this is I'm going to watch your whole video. This is the lap where you did a 152. So we're going to watch the video in succession, and then we're going to rewind it, and then we'll go through a comprehensive look at your lap here at Laguna Seca. We'll stop at each corner. We'll look at your turn in, your apex, your exit, where you're getting on the throttle, look at your braking application, and more. And we'll help you find that time you're looking for. You're pretty close to getting into that 149 mark. I can see it. But there is room for improvement, so we'll certainly help you with that. So we're going to go for a ride around Laguna Seca in your car. And if you look at this little blue circle around here, it's how we can kind of highlight certain areas. If you can look right here for your turn-ins, your apexes and exits and so forth. So here we go. Pull those belts tight. We'll go for a ride with you around Laguna. All the way and up and over turn 1 down here into turn 2. Which is a really fun corner, especially when you get it right and you get a big drive out of here down into turn 3. And with this event that you were at with Hooked on Driving, really wanted to acknowledge how cool the camera work is here with the different views, the side profile views, the in-car. It's kind of like watching an NBC or ESPN highlight reel. Good hand position, 9 and 3 right here. As we head down into turn 5. So I could tell with the lifting here, it's obvious that if you look at the little blue circle off to the right, that they're picking people up on sound that day, which certainly does compromise your lap a little bit. The last time we were there in a GT3 RS, we had to lift at the sound meter as well, and especially with this rumbling V8, I bet it's just echoing across the side of the track there. Down through the corkscrew. Into turn 9. Down into turn 10. And down into 11. Nice job. So before we got ready for your video here, Glenn, I was talking to a colleague of mine, Steve. You'll see him on our website. I've never seen Laguna Seca that green. I just kept picking up on the grass on the sides of the track. So beautiful time of year that you were there. One thing I like about the video that you've sent us is, as you can see right here, one thing that we don't get to do a lot of virtually is take a look at people's seating position. This right here allows us to do so, and the one thing I wanted to compliment you on is your hand position. A lot of people are at 10 and 2, where they just are shuffling too much, or their approach to turning into a corner is not as good as it needs to be. But where your hands are at 9 and 3 is absolutely perfect. Your seating position looks great as far as where you are in relation to the steering wheel as well. Looks really good. So let's go find you some lap time. As we come out of turn 11 right here, one thing I wanted to point out about Laguna is that it's a very curb-friendly track to get down to the curbing on your apexes, and to get out to the curbing on your exits is really going to help you open the radiuses up and give you a lot of mile an hour in a corner and really, really good exit speed. So as you look at turn 11 here, past the curbing, there's even additional concrete that they've painted green. You can actually run out onto that to kind of open the wheel a little more, just to get more mile an hour off the corner. Turn 11 is a pretty important corner because it leads onto the longest straight, and it's also uphill as you approach the bridge into turn 1. So that's what I'd be working on right here in turn 11. So here we go. So that little bit of a lift there as you get under the bridge is something that we'd want to chip away at. We want to keep onto the throttle a little longer. The mile an hour we're really looking for, the top mile an hour is going to be somewhere between 120 and 130 miles an hour as you pop up and over turn 1. So I would resist that urge to lift as you crest the hill here. Having driven this track many times, I know it's a little bit blind as you crest over here, and it's arcing over to the left, and then there's elevation on the other side. There's a lot of things that are happening, but if you nail your line, approach it from a little further over to the right, but the biggest thing is to stay in the throttle longer. Just trust in the car. I'm assuming that in all of your laps you've left the DSC on, which is the dynamic stability control that Jag have with this F-Type, which is really good. That's an active safety feature that on a road course like this is going to use that electronic stability, if you will, to help you perform in your car. So it's active safety now used as fun and performance. So it's going to help you learn, help keep you safe as well. And it's also going to help you lean on your car more. So the advice we have here is you got to stay in the throttle a lot longer, and you can stay pretty aggressive all the way over the hill. I mean, you can be flat out right here. And if there's any little bit of a wiggle, just keep your eyes elevated and let the DSC do the work. As you're coming up over the hill here, you can see you're kind of coasting right here. We're looking for, realistically, about another 20 to 30 miles an hour here. At least another, if we can get into the 120 mile an hour range, that's a massive deal right there as far as lap time goes, because we're bridging this long straight and shortening the length of time that it takes to cross it. So there's a big advantage into just staying in the throttle longer here. So as far as where we're braking here, again, just to address the throttle, there's a lot of coasting here. If you can stay hard into the throttle and get down to maybe the number 3 over here to start with, you're going to be full throttle to a hard brake. So you're going to go hard gas, instant hard brake to where the brake pedal pressure is a big spike or a big peak. And then you're going to trail off the brake as you get down to the apex of the Andretti hairpin here, down into turn 2. So positioning the car a little further over to the right here is going to help. This is a heavy car. Doing a little research on the car before we did this video for you. It's about a 4,000 pound car. Any car that has a massive amount of weight like this car with a big V8 in the front really likes it when you trail brake. So right now, hard throttle to hard brake, and as you approach the apex of turn 2 down here, you're going to slowly start trailing the brake pedal pressure off. But all it's really doing is keeping more rubber on the ground longer. It's harnessing that energy and keeping a wider tire contact patch down onto the ground as you turn down into the corner. So here we go down into turn 2. Again, we need to approach it from further to the right. Now there's really 2 schools of thought here. The last time I was at Laguna with some coaching clients of ours, we were kind of running at it further to the right, making 1 apex out of turn 2, and a lot of drivers like to make 2 apexes out of turn 2. Most of the time, for us, if we're racing, we'll typically make 2 apexes out of it because you're leaving the inside lane open. But I think right here, and in watching your videos, you're making 2 apexes out of turn 2, which is totally fine. Piece of advice here, just brake harder, more aggression on your braking. Start your braking at the 3, and you can gradually move it down a little bit, but you want to be braking to where right about here, you're trailing off the brake. So there's still brake lights on to right about here, but you're trailing off of it. So that's our trail braking technique right there. So up and over the curb. As I'd mentioned earlier, full use of curbing here at Laguna. So I would have ran the left sides up and over that curb and just swung out. I'd say this is just a little bit wide, maybe about a car width or so over to the left will help. But again, your hands look good at 9 and 3. Get up and over the curb here in turn 2. So the real key here is a little white patch right there. You want to run the car up and over it. So here I would move the car or have it placed about a car width to the left so that you're opening your radius up. You're coming from out here, get over the curbing and get your left sides up onto this white patch right here. Keep your eyes up, and right about here you're getting pretty aggressive with the throttle too. So you're trail braking down to here, nice little bit of momentum, just keeping a maintenance throttle through here to where we're on the gas at this white patch right here at turn 2. Take your exit here. So if you're up on the curbing on the inside, you're up and over that white patch, and then you get all the way out to your exit of turn 2, get up and over the curb. As I said, anytime you're using curbs, you're just opening up radiuses, which equals more mile an hour and a lower lap time. So down into turn 3, again, this is a fun corner. This corner gives a lot of people the fits. It appears easy. It just has a unique kind of flair about it. Your turn in here looks good. This is the kind of corner that, as with any corner here really, but trail braking is really going to help. Getting down to your apex, again, is really important. There are, and I have noticed in the past, these little red squares that kind of help you pinpoint your apexes as if they're permanent cones that have put down there. So if you can catch those, that helps a ton. But from what I see here in this piece, your line looks really good. In this car, I would imagine you'd be in 3rd gear through here. One other little thing that we have noticed is it appears that in some parts of the track you're using the paddle shift, and then in some parts of the track you're letting it manually shift. That's a little observation we have. If that's true, the advice we have for you, the next time you go to the track, you're going to start shifting 100% of the time manually. No more relying on the automatic. You'll have more control over the car. You'll have more control over your exits and your downshifts, and the car will be more manageable because you've made the decision to leave it in a specific gear and you want to keep it in that gear. So this is us coming through turn 3 right here. As I look again, get up on the curb, so take all your exits here. It's going to help a ton. So down into turn 4. This is actually a really fast corner. You can carry a ton of momentum through here. Big part of the success you're going to have through that corner is using the curbing, which I think is really good. You could move it over to the right a few more inches to right about here, but really opening up this radius is huge. And when you get to this point right here, you're going to start systematically, or in a nice linear but fashion, you're going to be on the throttle right here. You need to start getting on the gas. And one thing we've noticed is you're not really full throttle until you get out to your exits. So right here, nice smooth linear application to where you're starting to get down to full throttle. So you'll really hear the throttle only come on at the exit. You want to back that up to where a lot of this is starting to happen at your apex. So that's turn 4 through here. You're using the curbing, which is good. All the way up to turn 5. So there's that lift again. So that lift and that coast is a lot of dead space. It's costing you time. So you'd want to stay full throttle all the way down to the number 3 here. Hard braking. So you're going from full throttle down to hard brake, and then you're going to trail brake down towards that apex in turn 5. Start at the 3, and you could slowly start moving your braking down a little bit if you'd like. I haven't personally driven this car around Laguna, but I'm thinking right around the 3 is where you need to be as far as your braking goes. So here we go down into turn 5. More use of curbing is going to help here, so moving the car over a few more inches to the left is going to help. This is also one of my favorite corners because there's a little bit of a climb here, so that there's more grip. There's just a nice squatted feel as you come through the corner here. And as we all know, Laguna has a tendency to always be a little slipperier than most tracks. It just feels to me as you kind of squat down into this rise right here, there's always good grip coming off this corner, and it's really important because it's uphill as you get into 6 and start the climb all the way up into the corkscrew. So we're going to give you a pass here because we know that in this little box right here is where the sound meter is. The second to last trip that we'd all taken to Laguna, it was on a day where the DB wasn't really working too well for us, so a factory GT3 RS kept getting pinched for noise. But one thing that we did to try to salvage our weekend and make it a lot of fun is that we turned Laguna Seca into sectors. So if you have the ability to do that, it's always fun to do that. So you kind of omit 5 to 6, but you find 3 other sectors, like the corkscrew down to 9, and 9 to 11, and 11 to 4, so that you can work on those areas solely, because it's hard to be consistent when you're having to lift here and coast up the hill. So, up into turn 6. A little bit of a lift and that coast again here, which we're going to work on. As far as where you're braking, you can get pretty deep down into here. I'd say maybe somewhere between the 3 and the 2. Be down onto the brakes. Wonderful use of curbing there. That's where we need to be. That's great. But the throttle came on late again, so we want to start with that throttle application down towards the apex of these corners. And again, if you're running with the DSC on, trust in that technology and lean on it, but earlier throttle application is the biggest thing I'm seeing here. All the way up to the corkscrew. So there's that lift again, and that dead space, that coast. Right about here is where you could actually come off the gas and start your braking right there. You can actually back your braking further up, but for right now, to find a safe space, stay on the throttle all the way to the end of that curbing on the left, and then hard brake and bleed the speed out of the car, and get up on this curb right about here as we set up for the drop into the corkscrew. Opening the radius up here is going to help a ton as well. So you want to be up on the curbing a little more on the left. And one observation that I have for you here on the corkscrew, and by the way, how incredible is this view? One that we miss right now. So looking forward to heading back to Laguna for sure. A long time ago when I was there, I'd learned that the school had hidden a cone in the tree up in here, which they always use as a reference. People always ask me what I'm using as a reference here. I've never seen the cone in the tree, but I kind of always go off of feel and muscle memory. So over onto the curb a little more on the left. Same thing here. More curb on the left, more curb on the right. And as you come off of that unloaded kind of feel, as you come off the top of the corkscrew, when the car settles and lands here, aggressively get on the throttle. Think of that car. It's a 4,000 pound car. It's really, really light. Maybe it's 3,500 pounds, something like that, as you come off the top of the corkscrew. But when you land on the bottom, it's not a 4,000 pound car anymore. It's heavier. So you've got a lot of grip right now. Got a nice wide tire contact patch. So if you can time that with that compression on the gas, as you can see right here, you're going to be on the throttle further out here by your exit. Right there. Okay, so now we're heading down into, this would be Rainy Curve. There's always a coast, which you're doing well, right down to here, but when we get to that apex, hard on the throttle. So you really want to pick up some momentum here. And what you consistently want to do is use the whole track there and get up on the curbing on the right. If you can really, really focus on that, it's going to help a ton in this area here as well. Down into turn 10. Big thing here, more curbing. You want to get all the way over here, so this is almost a car width over to the right. That just opens up that radius. It's going to give you more mile an hour. You're going to go faster. We're going to get that lap time we're looking for. So this is coming out of turn 10. And down into 11. Beautiful use of the curbing there. There you go. So you're up on that green a little bit right here, which is good. You can even use it a little bit more, but that certainly does help when you open that radius up there. Hope that helps. We would love to hear more from you. We're also going to send you another video link we did of a GT3, it's a Porsche Cup car around Laguna Seca with Andy Lee, one of my teammates. He's got some interesting insight on Laguna Seca itself. So we're going to send you 2 videos to review. But certainly hope this helps. Hope you're keeping well and safe, and we appreciate you reaching out to Trek Record, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you very much. Cheers.